it takes away the like the me part of my business and say like I'm actually a soldier for humanity. I want to just go and like I can contribute to all these people that need it, and all I got to do is just sell a house, which I love doing anyways.
Building a successful real estate career requires you to adapt, pivot, and constantly master new skills.
We're Katie and Daniel Steinfeld. We've built our own innovative brokerage, and in this podcast, we've assembled actionable tips and strategies that you can implement to take your business to its maximum potential.
It's time to level up. Level up.
Hello, everybody. Hi. That's my new intro. It's an uncomfortable hello. Hi. Welcome to Level Up. Once again, I'm Daniel here with Katie with one of, if not the favorite guest this show has ever had. And am I wrong in saying this is the first repeat guest we've ever had?
I feel like it. Yeah. Yeah.
I feel very honored to be here again. Thank you guys.
Oh, Ralph, tell everybody who you are. I mean, I was going to give you a long intro, but you know
Don't
what?
give me an intro. No.
If you don't know, you're about to know.
People are driving somewhere right now. They're on a treadmill and they just set like their goal of how long they're going to be doing something. And by the end of it, they're going to say, I worked out my body and I worked out my mind because of the Level Up podcast. So I'm Ralph Ciancio, and I'm a realtor here. My office is located in Markham. I serve basically York region, Markham, Stouffville, Richmond Hill. Been selling real estate for 15 years now. I'm the broker record of a small office on Main Street, Unionville. And if you're ever in the area, come on by. We'll make you feel right at home. Grab a Starbucks or an ice cream. Main Street, Unionville is amazing in the summer. It's nice all year round. But and of course, I've known Dan and Katie for decades. We could say decades.
We're at that point now, which is weird.
And they haven't aesthetically have not changed, not one bit at all. It's unbelievable. I don't know if they're drinking oxygen at night or they have chambers that they sleep in, but they look amazing.
We embalm ourselves. I did oxygen for the first time actually this year at Realtor Quest. I don't want to plug another event, but yeah, I did. It's gimmicky. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. It was my first time. It smelled good. It tasted. Do you taste through your nose? It felt like I was tasting something through my nose. But anyway, and well, thank you for that. I don't know if aesthetically, I've never been referred to as aesthetically not changing.
Well, I said that really because I think character-wise, you've been the same people, but you've done so much more over the last 20 plus years, right? You guys were great people. You guys were trailblazers from even from high school all the way through to university and then into your professional careers. But as parents, as professionals, as realtors, you guys have definitely leveled up. Like the name is not just a name, like it's a real thing for you guys. You guys have leveled up constantly. And I applaud what you've created. I applaud the community, within your brokerage, but also within the online community. You've got some great followers and we respect your ton.
Oh, gee, Ralph, that's so sweet.
We still have time to change the topic of this. Like we could just let him keep going.
Yeah, exactly.
45 minutes.
Yeah,
what were we talking about?
Honestly, when you guys announced that you were opening up your office, I was so excited for you. I was like, and I don't know if I told you this. I may have mentioned last time that you guys had a grand opening and I bought a cake and I was supposed to bring it to a cake. I had a wedding just like a block away. So I found this like gluten-free, something that Katie could eat that was like, a cake.
$500.
Yeah, and
like gold bars
we're running late for the wedding. I didn't even get to bring it. So in my head, we left it in the car, and I can't bring you like gluten-free.
I still have it. I hope you still have it.
Doesn't last.
I would have still eaten it, but that's okay.
Yeah,
the thought that
I still owe you a cake. I owe you a cake.
No, you just paid off that
you
cake.
Being
with what
here
you just said.
is your gift.
That's true. You are the gift. You're done talking about us. We get to talk about you now.
Yay.
Right. So
wonderful person, you. Well, I mean, this is potentially going to, I guess, progress or digress into a bit of a love fest because there is good reason for why we want to keep talking to you beyond just a friendship, which is the empire, and I don't use that lightly, that you are building the right way. I think that is what is most inspiring about the work that you're doing with your team, that successful real estate, yes, lots of great things in terms of transactions and numbers and all those things, but you've done it all with integrity. You continue to do it with integrity, with fun, with positivity, and spreading the right message. And that was a big reason why today we wanted to talk to you, because you do so many things outside of the transaction that are so good for your community, conceivably so good personally and for your team, and just for, dare I say, humanity at large. That's how big this is. You are just a great person, and it reflects in the work that you do. And that's what we're talking about today, is the importance of giving back, the importance of building community, and who better person to talk to than yourself to tell us all the great things you do, why you do it, when it started, where it is, and where it's going.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate the the opportunity to kind of share some thoughts, of course. And I think that, mutually, the three of us, and I know the rest of your group as well, we're, I use again the term level up. That's what you're trying to do, is try to level up the industry. And by no means do I, want to sit here on the call on a soapbox saying this is what you should do and this is the right way. By all means, I'm learning and growing every single day. And I think that there's a million ways to be right. So I'm happy to be open and share. I don't believe that anything is really ours, even ideas. Ideas don't belong to us. It's something that's just in the universe, and we just get to use them. So I'm happy to share anything that I'm doing that, I found value in, and, even share some of the inspiration and what kind of drove me into the path that I'm in now, which is, all about helping people. That's essentially what we do. We help people. I mean, we do it through selling real estate. That's the business model, is, helping people sell their home and find a great home to live in. But, the core of it is got to be altruistic. It's, service of others. I think that's the reason we're on earth, to be honest, is just to help each other. Individually, we're all, essentially worthless for humanity individually. But when we work together as a community, you see things like, Chat GTP, everyone's talking about it. Man, it's going to change the world. Well, man, there's millions and millions of people that have contributed to the creation of Chat GTP, whether it's making electricity or people that work in the cafeteria at Google, or like all these other, like there's so many people that are involved with this one thing that could, hopefully level up the whole world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And when you put it like that, I love that, because, sometimes you can get caught up so much in the little details and the annoyances that come with our job. But when you really look at it at the highest level, that we're really just there to help people and guide people through a really big life change, it really helps all of those little annoyances to go away so quickly. And if we can all approach it like that, I think I mean, we'll all make the world a better place. So we know that, like, even just chatting with you, I think just opens our eyes to really what's more important in the day-to-day than just being annoyed with our clients or with other agents or whatever it might be. So yeah, maybe if you want to can't really talk today.
Some chat RCH right
now.
Chat.
What am I talking about? Chat GPT. I just need Chat GPT to make me up some questions. But anyway, maybe if you can start by letting us know how you started in the path of giving back when you started in real estate. Was it something you started immediately, or was it a slower progression?
Yeah, I would say, I mean, in terms of giving back, there's a couple of different lenses you could look at. Number one would be, community-based. Another one would be, you could say, giving back to clients. And then, I think there's a philanthropy component as well. When you say giving back, that's kind of the anchor that people think, right? Giving back, and people think of charity and philanthropy. And, when I started selling real estate about 15 years ago, I tried my best to contribute to different charities as I could. And then at one point I made the decision that, one of the charities that we would look after would be the Sick Kids Foundation at Sick Kids Hospital. And, through REMAX, I've been a REMAX broker for 15, well, I haven't been a broker the whole time, but I've been REMAX the entire career. And they have a program where they can just basically siphon a little bit of your commission before they pay you. The monies go to this pool, which is sent off to Sick Kids Hospital. And, that made it really, really easy. And I think I started off with like, might have been $50 or $100 per transaction, something like that. And for me, I thought of it as, in our business, I mean, we know because we're behind the curtain, $100, $200, $500, it goes like that. Like that could be nothing. That could be reprinting feature sheets. That's it. And so I thought I'm spending money on all these little trinkety things in my business, but philanthropy wasn't one of them. So I'd started off at every transaction, the first monies go straight to Sick Kids Hospital. And that's been a mantra that I've had for, a number of years now. To date, we've donated over $100,000 to Sick Kids Hospital. And, I'm really proud of that because, it's the first monies. Like really, ultimately what I'm saying is if there's profit left over, I'll take it. But I'm doing this for the good of others. And obviously there's profit left over. We are a business, but the mindset is give first and then take after, as opposed to give it to me and I'll give later. Because, in The Wealthy Barber, you guys have read The Wealthy Barber for sure. So they say pay yourself first. They say save 10% of your money right off the top of the paycheck. It's because if you save after you've spent your money, there's no money to save. And the same is true with giving, I believe. It's a lot easier to just take it off the top. And
yeah.
And it's a great organization. I mean, the Sick Kids Network or Children's Miracle Network is a great organization. And they give me a platform to talk to agents as well about why we do care about the future of the organization and help support them. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people ask me if I was a sick kid or if I had a sick kid, or which is kind of a term of someone that went through the hospital system. And what really got me excited about the Sick Kids Hospital, or supporting them best we could, my daughter Isabella, who was about 3.5 at the time. Did I ever share the story with you guys?
I think so. No.
Okay. Sometimes I don't know. I go into loop. So the story that got me excited about Sick Kids Hospital, when my daughter was 3.5 years old, Isabella and Julian went to go get ready for a shower. Julian was just under 2 years old. And Maria and I were just getting the dishes ready after dinner. Of course, they're naked. They're having fun. They start jumping on the bed. Julian pushes Isabella off the bed, falls back, lands on her arm, snaps her humerus bone, comes downstairs screaming, of course. And I had no idea what happened. She's screaming, my arm, my arm. And for some reason, the playback of every sports movie in my life runs through where like the coach is holding onto the arm. And I thought it was dislocated. I was just going to give it a tough jerk.
Yeah.
Like just count backwards from 3. And I went 3, 2, and I squeezed her arm to pull it into place. And a voice in my head said, don't do that. And so I literally stopped, put a towel over her, drove her over to my local hospital, which is a great hospital as well. Markham Stova Hospital's full of great people, but they're not specialized for a 3.5-year-old, and the details. So after running to emerge with my daughter in my arms, they're like, you better go to Sick Kids. Put her in the car, almost broke my speedometer, getting down to the hospital. You're freaking out. And the care was amazing and was contoured for her. It was perfect. And so fast forward 2 days later, a couple of surgeries, a couple of steel bars and some screws, time to discharge. And as we leave, Isabella says, Daddy, do we have to go? And I said, yeah, it's time to go. She goes, this was the best day of my life.
No.
And I thought, this was the worst day of my life. Like, you're telling me you loved it? And so when I realized that they turned such a horrible experience, and in the scope of things, a broken arm is not the end of the world, but to be able to turn such a negative from the point of view from the patient to say this was amazing, I was like, oh, geez. And I contribute in a position of thanks, saying like, I don't have to be there. I'm lucky. I'm blessed. Let me support the people that are stuck there that don't want to be there.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, the personal connection is just, it's icing on top of what everybody looks at Sick Kids as an example, as a great first-class organization. You hear the stories. When you live it, like what a great thing it is to be able to know that now a function of what you do is consistently giving back and saying thanks, like you said. Like I guess it doesn't feel like charity as much as it does. It's part of really what, like, your family has a connection, right? And I think a lot of people, when they dig deep, regardless of personal circumstances, have connections and have things that mean a lot to them. And so this isn't a shaming type episode saying you need to
No,
do
no.
this, you need to give this there, or you need to give dollars at all, right? I think we all have a finite amount of all of our resources, dollars, time, you name it. But find what you care about and realize there's things bigger than yourself because you've had experiences or you know things or feel things that mean something to you. And I
For
think
sure.
that's a great example of doing that.
For sure. And the way that it drives my business, because I mean, essentially, I imagine that somebody on an elliptical or somebody on track is stuck in traffic is thinking, how does this relate, to business or entrepreneurism or whatever drives you. And I use this as kind of like a jet fuel for me. This business is a grind. I mean, you guys have been in it long enough. Like
Mm-hmm.
there are some easy days, but not a lot of easy days. Like there's a lot of tough days. And especially like I love the reset of the calendar. I love January because like you can create anything you want for the next year. And I'm setting these goals. I'm thinking, why? Like, why do I need to
Mm.
sell another home? Why do I need to help a client buy it? Like, why do more? And my thoughts are, well, if I do more, then the hospital's getting more, other charities we work for get more. So it's like it takes away the me part of my business and say like I'm actually a soldier for humanity. I want to just go and like I can contribute to all these people that need it, and all I got to do is just sell a house, which I love doing anyways. So it's
Yeah.
kind of this like vicious circle of like I want to do more for others, and in doing so, like I get to help other people by selling their homes. So it's like I'm doing both. I'm helping you, and that helps them. So I feel happy. I feel fulfilled, and it gives me motivation and drive
Yeah,
and purpose.
definitely. Yeah. Well, that's huge too, especially day to day, just keeping that in mind and remembering that just drives you even more. In terms of other aspects of giving back, like what are some of your favorite things that you do now to give back?
So it's a dangerous one because I know as soon as I mention it, my phone and DM will blow up. Is we do a lot of sponsorship of teams, sports teams, and
Mm,
I chuckle. I mean, my viewpoint on real estate marketing or realtors marketing is probably a little bit different than maybe what's mainstream. I believe we have too much ego in our industry as a whole, and I think I'd love to see more contribution in other ways as opposed to just me.
yeah.
Um, I see so many hockey rinks with realtors advertisements on the boards. I would rather sponsor the jersey or not even beyond the jersey, just sponsor the kids. Like if I'm
Mm,
gonna be if my brand exists in a hockey arena, I want it there to support the kids playing, not on the boards around so that the parents call me to sell their house. Like,
right.
do you know what I mean? Like, we can have
Yeah.
two realtors. One of them is advertising them, and the other one's supporting the community.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? It's,
Yeah.
100%.
it's, it's a crazy way of thinking of it, right?
Yeah.
It's a true connection. Like there's actual meaning behind it. And there's nothing wrong with people who are putting their name on the board, but you're right. They're buying marketing. They're not contributing to a cause.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's like I was meeting this week with the university and the fundraising that they do. And it's the same thing. People can contribute and they can put their name on a classroom, which does definitely further the institution. But then there's the guy who starts a scholarship and meets the kid who got his scholarship. Like, how impactful is that, that this kid got to go to school because of your contribution? Versus, again, nothing wrong with being one of many donors, but I agree with you. Like, the connection and the meaning behind it definitely counts for a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. We actually held a scholarship at Guelph, my alma mater. Is that the right word? My university,
Yeah.
through my program, which
Where
is
I went.
where I went, that school that educated me.
Mhm.
Um, and so we did it through my housing and real estate management program. And
Oh,
we had
cool.
a scholarship for a number of years. Then COVID hit and we kind of stopped. We need to revitalize that. But we have a meeting next month. But it was fulfilling to say I was once in your shoes, and I understand that we can maybe open a door for someone that may need some help, right?
Absolutely. Sure. I was waiting for him to say, I actually have my name on a classroom at Guelph. Thanks, asshole. I thought that's where you were going with that.
To the arena too. Thanks, bye.
Yeah, and I'm actually on the boards. All that stuff just sounded good to say at the time. So now I actually feel terrible about myself.
None of those.
So do you find it hard? Like, I mean, I would imagine there's a lot of people reaching out to you and asking for, support or help or whatever it is. Do you find it hard to say no to people? Like, how do you place limits, or how do you, position yourself each year? Or I don't know how often you kind of reevaluate how you're giving back, but I know it can be hard you can kind of feel like you're spreading yourself thin sometimes. So how do you strategize? Yeah.
It is hard. And I mean, I look at it in terms of, you mentioned, Dan, that there's finite resources, and, depending on, how many people are asking for donation and what the donations are for, we try our best to help out. Sometimes we can't, but then what I'll do is I'll introduce them to somebody that may be able to. So I always try to say, well, I might not be the right guy right now. I'm sorry, but so-and-so would be. And, just like anything else, when you get into a circle of people that have kind of similar values, we kind of know each other. And if I say, hey, listen, this young team needs something, or this, the reality is there's so many needs out there, and we try our best to help, but we just got to carry on, got to sell more homes, help more people. But another thing we did that was really cool, and I'm actually really proud of, is we built a school in Africa, in Uganda.
Oh, wow.
So, and it's funny how, and I've heard you guys talk about the idea of kind of a manifestation, or kind of getting your head right, and it kind of creates in the universe. This has been on my bucket list for a while, and primarily because I have no connection to Africa personally. And, this is just pure giving, trying to help somebody that would never, ever be able to repay me. Like, I want nothing from this, right? And so I was chatting with a friend of mine who's involved with a build in Uganda, and we split the cost of building a new school and orphanage. So they would send us a Facebook update, like a picture with them as they're like setting out the bricks, and then watching these kids come in and out of the school. And, it is super cool, like, to feel like, hey, we created something out there, is really, and you see the smiles on the kids' faces, and hopefully it's not just for donor pics. I hope that
there's a backdrop with a picture of an orphanage, like
hey guys,
studio.
For the 2 o'clock. Bring them in for the 2 o'clock photo shoot.
Smile. No. You look too happy. Look like you still need more. Look like you still need more. Okay, you're good. That's awesome though. Like, that is just
no kidding. Oh wow.
And
you're
the
like
most
Oprah.
important.
No.
You get a school.
You get
a
Oh man, you're right. Your phone is going to blow up. And now that you've said that, when you say no, you pass them to other people, does that mean our phone's about to blow up too? Ralph sent me.
Probably.
He said he reached his orphanage quota.
She's fantastic. Don't talk to Dan.
Talk to her. Talk to me. I'm the cheapskate. Yeah.
Yeah, you have better luck with me than
I'm
with
like,
Daniel.
I got something here. I could give you like a pen, maybe. I can give you a pen, a couple pens.
You guys do a lot of charity work. You guys do a lot of community work. I know that you are altruistic in nature. I mean, is there anything that you want to share? Like, I mean, some inspiration on I know obviously involvement in RICO, which is ultimately, giving to others, trying to improve the industry, which you may or may not benefit from, but you for sure others are benefiting from. Is there any other examples that you guys have that you want to discuss?
Yeah, I mean, I think like the last year we finally set up, similar to how Remax does it, where our agents can donate a portion of their commissions to Youth Without Shelter, which has always been a organization that's very near and dear to our hearts, just given that we do real estate. And also the organization is so incredibly open to different ideas, different ways to give back, and always willing to have us come through and do a tour and all that. And I like that local approach where you can actually see your impact, which is helpful. I mean, I don't want to be, have a party for us, because we're giving back, but we also, it's nice to see where it's actually going and how it's actually helping youth. So I think that's been a big goal of ours, is to get something like that off the ground. And you're right, when it's part of a trade, it's not like, it's just kind of like, okay, but it makes such a huge impact at like cumulatively when all of our agents are going towards this one thing. And so that's been really big for us.
That's
It's
awesome.
exciting. Like watching, like we don't have a big thermometer on the wall or anything, but now that it's happening in such a automated and just it's a foregone conclusion that we're giving and everybody's
Oh,
invested
that's
in
so
it
nice.
from understanding it. Like these numbers are bigger than they've ever been. It used to be like one-offs. Like we need to come up with an idea to raise money for these folks. We've got to throw a big event. And we still do stuff like that, but
Mm,
it is a lot more, I guess it's easier for everybody
yeah.
sort of just to do it that way. And the other thing, like this month, um, every June, we support CAMH, which is the Center for Addiction and Mental Health, through something called the Sunrise Challenge. The first week of June, our team all wake up with the sunrise. So everybody, and most of us are not early risers. We're up at like 5:30 in the morning and we get on a Zoom call together and just talk serious talk about mental health. But as a team, one of our agents, Nadia, who's awesome, has spearheaded this, the captain of the team. And every year it blows me away because it's raising money by all means. Like the point is to raise money. But as a team and as individuals, we're closer to each other. We've learned about each other. It's been an opportunity to explore the actual concept of what this charity and this organization does, right? So we don't have a CAMH rep on the call with us, but it's however many people are able to wake up, 10 people, a dozen people, 15 people. There's tears, there's laughs. We're connecting with people who are, we're all friends and family already as a team here, but this is like next level. And every year we learn more about people. And every year we've got a couple new agents who weren't here the year before and don't know what they're getting into. But I think as a very unintended benefit of giving back, it's the outside stuff that happens. So, and not just building business, nothing like that. I mean, that happens too sometimes. It's great, like from that perspective, that people feel good supporting somebody who supports things. It's it's another level to connect with people that isn't so transactional internally, not just externally. And I think that that's been really a nice byproduct that we didn't intend to have as well.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And it seems like you're also creating a framework for people to be open with each other, which also supports mental health, right?
Yeah.
So like,
Wow,
that
that's
I think,
huge.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure you have that with your team too, like the closeness. Like you've got, how big is your team now?
So right now we have myself, 4 sales, 2 support, and
Okay.
a bunch of
Nice.
auxiliary bodies, whether labor
You've got
team,
staging and that
staging
kind of
team,
stuff.
labor
Yeah.
team, cleaners, like, yeah, we're probably 25 altogether when you add up like these people that work with us on the regular, but like here in the office, that's where we're at.
Right.
We
Yeah,
have
and
an
it's always good. I
auxiliary.
mean, that's the fabric of the company. It's just trying to help people, right?
Yeah. No, that's
Which is really
awesome.
cool. And I guess what you guys have done so successfully is, they say birds of a feather flock together. Well, at least you've been authentic in who you are. You've been that way since day one. I can tell you with certainty.
Mm.
I've been watching it. And so you're attracting, I imagine you're attracting people that are also like you because you've been so authentic.
Yeah, it's so much easier when it's organic, even with like your own clients, right? Like, and I'm sure when you're giving back, you have people that are seeing you do that, and because of that, you're attracting those same people to want to work with you in various other ways, which is a nice byproduct. It's not the reason you do it, but it's all kind of organically working really well together.
Yeah, what I found was every time I try to do something and I'm the center of the focus, like I'm the sole benefactor. It's been so
Mm.
hard. But when
Hmm.
there's so many others that can benefit, whether it be my team, the client, the community, the charity, it's a lot easier to find a little bit more in the gas tank.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And one of the best ways to get motivated for the next year, it's been a tradition we've been doing for some time, is we'll have a brunch at Sick Kids Hospital in their cafeteria, which sounds
Mhm.
glamorous, but it's really Tim Hortons. They have a Tim Hortons in like the front vestibule. and I'll go with my family and I'll go with my team, and we'll just have a coffee and a bagel in the front vestibule.
Nice.
And we're all literally, we leave there in tears. Like you see these, sad stories, great stories too, but a 3 or 5 year old kid walking around with a chemo bag and these things that are what are called bravery beads. And it looks like Mardi Gras. Like they're just loaded with these necklaces they get every time they do something difficult in the hospital, whether it's a tough surgery or a painful procedure. They get these bravery beads. And you see these little kids walking around with that bag. And I thought, man, like this is not right. Like, they need help. Right.
Yeah. Well, and it puts things into perspective too, like totally, right? Like you get so wrapped up in your own life, not realizing that there's so many other people out there that need so much more help than we do. Does that how do you like what's your approach with gratitude? Is that something you try to be aware of, or like how does that work in your life?
I would say definitely. I mean, this is, gratitude could be a mindset, but could be also actions as well, right? You say thank you, or you can show thank you, right? And I'm thankful for the universe. Like I feel like I'm extremely blessed. I never forget that. And even on the hardest days, I think of how lucky I am. And yes, of course, everyone's got some challenges and adversities for sure, but like everyone's got them. But I've got so many check marks. Like I have to give. And it's funny because I was explaining to my kids the idea of giving and the idea of kind of an abundance mindset versus a scarcity mindset. And I said, there's basically the story of a pond is basically as water come in and then it doesn't go out and it turns into a swamp. And if you drink that water, you die. It's dirty. It's where crocodiles live. You can't see through it. But a river is also water, and it just has an inlet and an outlet. Only difference between a swamp and a river is an inlet and an outlet. And that water you can drink from. It's clear. It's like the freshest water in the world. And so I think with the idea of giving is that when we talk about, and we could talk about money or time or thought or focus, any framework, the more we give, I believe it opens up the inlet for receiving. And that's just what I've done in 42 years. That's how I've run my life, and I don't really want to tweak it because I'm scared that if I shut off the giving, then the blessings may stop too. It may. I'm not sure. I'm not going to risk it.
Yeah. Well, and you laid out the blueprint also for people, like for those out there who are just starting or who are saying I'm too young or I'm too new or I don't make enough or whatever the reason that people are telling themselves. First of all, again, not just money, it's mindset. But when you talked about how you approach it, it's also not take care of me and then figure it out. It becomes part of the plan. And like with anything, building in what you want to commit and what you're going to put into place that becomes part of your system makes it so doable and understandable in a way that you're not thinking about, am I going to have enough? You're already knowing, here's what I'm able to do because I've set out to do it, and I'm still going to have plenty left. It's not, I can't do this because there isn't anything left. It'll be left after you've already committed to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. And you'll find a way to make do, right?
Yeah.
And that's where the drive comes from, right? It's necessity is the the driver of progress, right? And of innovation.
It feels good. Like we're telling people it feels good. Like this isn't out of necessity or out of guilt or anything like that. It's a good, positive thing to do.
For sure.
Like this serves you well. If you are completely self-interested and this doesn't make sense to you, it serves you and your selfishness as well. You will feel good about giving. And like you said, I don't remember if it was when we were live or prior to it. I think it was during this when we were just talking about being a part, like being a small part of such a big universe where that's why we're here. Like, why are we here?
Yeah. And individually we, it's difficult to make an impact as an individual, but as a sum, as a community, as a tribe, as a society, we can definitely make a bigger impact when we work together. We talk about the idea of giving. And sometimes people think of it in the monetary sense. And, you know, I've said in the past, you know, if we work, for example, 200 days or 220 days in a year, basically each day is about a 0.5% of your year. Every day you wake up is every day you go to work is 0.5%. So if somebody called me and said, "Hey, Ralph, can you come and build a playground for a charity?" I can't today. I'm sorry, I've got commitments. I can't go. But if I could go, I would be giving 0.5% of my 1 year's output. But if I donated 0.5% of what I earned in the year, that's the same thing as giving 1 day. Like this year to date, I have not built any elementary school playgrounds. Like, it sucks. I would love to.
Get on it. Get on
But
it.
if I give a half a day's worth of, sorry, 0.5% worth of revenue, that's the same thing. Instead, I couldn't be here, but I sent my money. Right.
Right.
And
Yeah.
when you look at it, okay, well, what's 1%? Well, that's like if you gave 2 days of work for a charity. And what's 2 days for youth, you know, homeless youth, like contributing there, like you
Yeah.
would you have given 2 days work? So
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Totally
I mean,
agree.
well,
So
like,
what is on the bucket list for you for this for coming up, like for giving back for community, for that kind of
that's a great
stuff?
question. That's a great question. I don't have a bucket list. I wish I had this big, huge vision. Like I want to cure blindness or something that's like I don't have that set why. I mean, you have to do a bit of digging. I like where your mindsets are in terms of homeless youth. I think it's a pretty big issue. Um,
Yeah.
you know, when I was in high school, we did some work with homeless youth through the Out of the Cold program.
Oh
We
yeah.
helped in a soup kitchen, and it was tough. I had some of my scariest moments in my life just in those and like in that is in a church basement.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, I can't imagine. I got to go home. Like for the
Yeah.
kids that had to sleep there, it's not that nice. And
Yeah.
sometimes we walk by someone on the street and we say, "Oh, like you're here because you choose to be here." You know, my friends Scott and Stoop, they wouldn't tell you that. We were in high school. My wife and I, we were in the same class in our last year, and we had to do a project on homeless youth. So we went down to the homeless shelter just on Gerard, just next to the Big Slice, and we brought a video camera, like suburban kids, and we want to do a video of like homeless. Yeah, we were 18 at the time, and of course everyone's scattered, right? But we had
it was
these two.
well received. Yeah.
Yeah, Scott and Stoop. I made a deal with them. I said I'd buy you lunch if you guys would do this interview with us. And Scott and Stoop, and they were probably one was 17, one was 19, and they told us their story about how they ended up on the street. And
Wow.
Emery and I still talk about it. I mean, Scott and Stoop, like they had a rough go. Children's Aid, foster homes. Finally, they left because they felt like living on the street was a safer place to be.
Mm.
Let that sink in. When you see someone on the road, someone sleeping with like five sleeping, like they're there because they think that's the safest place for them to be. And I'm walking to my Leafs game and I'm like, oh, don't look, like don't make eye contact. You
Yeah.
know, such a
Yeah,
weird,
exactly.
weird world we live in.
It's true. I
You know,
know. Yeah.
and I'm at the ACC. I'm like, I think I'm entitled to the Platinum Lounge. I should get popcorn. I should get. And in the meantime, I stepped over a guy who's sleeping
Yeah.
outside, and I'm entitled to popcorn, and he's sleeping outside. Like, it's crazy world. It's crazy.
Yeah. It really is.
True. It's true. It's
Yeah.
all about perspective, and all of us always need to take a step back and just have a bit of a reality check. Like you're never going to get the whole story from everybody. You're never going to understand where other people are, but there's a difference between making an effort to try to and just pretending there isn't a problem or it's not your problem. And not every issue needs to be solved by each one of us all the time, right? Like this isn't, again, like I feel like when you have talks like this, people get scared off by the implied guilt associated with it. It's not about that, but it's about identifying that there's a world outside of yourself. And I think we all have a responsibility to find our place within where we can help that.
Yeah, yeah, that's inspiring. Do you guys have a bucket list? Is there something a mission you're trying to accomplish or see the change in the world?
I mean,
Kind of put you on
speaking
the
for
spot.
how we, I mean, well, this year, I mean, I think the really vague goal has been doing more than we did the year before. It's kind of like a constant progression to improving what we believe we're capable of. Right. I think a risk, at least I've seen, is diluting your attention to too many things and feeling like,
Yeah.
because I think when you feel you need to be everywhere or say yes to everybody, you dilute your impact or your
Mhm.
potential impact. Maybe not. I mean, I don't have anything against someone who gives $10 to everybody who comes by, but I think to your point with sick kids and all that, I think finding a connection and really feeling where you can make an impact or where you can tangibly see that what you're doing is making a difference, that that's impactful on a personal level.
Yeah.
But again, I mean, that's just me. Katie's like, nah, man, I want to give to everybody.
No, I think you're right. And I think it's, as you said, like you've got limited resources. So you want to be careful also with where you're choosing to put your resources. I think for me, like one of the like the bigger goals, like I've always been, just supporting girls and like, empowering them. Like that's always been something that I've always really been interested in. So maybe exploring that a little bit more, maybe when I've got a bit more time, to just understand how I can be more involved in that sort of thing. But yeah, I think it's a great question. I think it's just there's always something, right? So it's just a matter of figuring out what drives you and what you really are inspired by, and kind of going through that. And I'd say that if it's something that has been kind of nagging at you or just kind of in your thought process for such a long time, then it obviously is something that you should act on. Doesn't have to be immediately, but definitely putting the wheels in motion and figuring out ways that maybe you can give back to that certain cause or area.
And I think, anyone that's listening out there may find some like a pause or uncertainty on, well, nothing really speaks to me, or I don't really know
Mm,
but I would
yeah.
say just try something and then let it,
Yeah.
like, listen to it. Don't wait for it to speak to you. Try and then see how that feels. And I mean, you
Yeah.
could change your focus, as often as you like.
Well,
But
that's it.
as it goes specific in real estate, I've always thought it was funny that realtors will put their face on literally everything we can. We'll spend money. Like there's agents, I know agents personally that spend more than $1 million in outdoor marketing. You know,
Yeah.
we think about how many buses and bus shelters, have a realtor's face on it. And I thought, if you get hit by a bus, ironically, but like something happens to you, like nobody's gonna remember the bus. No one's gonna remember the bus
Mm-hmm.
shelter. Like you're gone.
Mm-hmm.
But what
Yeah.
was what was the impact of your money that you'd spent? Well, you spent it on advertising yourself, and that's gone. Whereas if you gave to a kid who's needed a month's rent and was stuck in homelessness, and you chipped in, and instead of spending $1,000 on being on the bus for 1 month, you gave that $1,000 to a kid. You may have shaped someone's whole life.
Kid who's
You know?
sleeping in the bus shelter, you're putting your
Yeah.
face on. How about you take your face off it and change that kid's life? Absolutely. And
Mm-hmm.
one thing that, as we're talking, I don't know how relevant this is or not, but I'll say it anyway because I started the thought. We talk
Sure.
about giving back, and I think inherent in giving back is that something had to impact you in order to give. Like you're returning the favor, you're thanking somebody, which is in a lot of the examples we're giving. I mean, there's things that we've been able to identify that, but giving in general is really the key, right? You don't need to, it doesn't need to be rooted in somebody did something for me or something impacted me, therefore I feel I owe a favor, right? It's about identifying a need that might have nothing to do with you, to Ralph's point, right? Like anything, whatever it is, something that speaks to you, and do something about it and just see how it makes you feel. I think I'd be shocked if it didn't make everybody who tries to do something helpful feel good. Like good deeds feel good to do, full stop,
Mhm.
I
Agreed.
think. So, okay,
Yeah.
final words, Ralph. I want you to close us out here with, I mean, you've been dropping wisdom nuggets top to bottom here. So I'm going to keep rambling while you think. You've got your pondering face on. I want you to ponder.
I haven't even good. I used all my good.
You're like, man, that river story was where we should have closed. That was
I
such
tell
a
you
good
about the
enough.
river. I
That
was
is
talking to my kids
true.
about
That was
a
good.
pond. I was talking about a pond. Did I say that one already? I said that already.
Yeah. Okay,
Damn it, that's
I
all I
thought you had the
had.
different pond one.
I know,
Oh
like, is
man,
this another pond?
that would have been so
No,
clutch.
no pond. See, I got one
Uh,
pond story.
okay, how about a
Uh,
book recommendation?
Oh, great question. Book recommendation. I mean, seems relevant based on this conversation would be Start with Why,
Mm,
Simon Sinek.
yeah,
Uh, you know what I've been listening to and reading Ninja Selling as well. I mean, for any of the agents out there,
that's really good.
you guys ever do any ninja?
I've read it. That's such a good book. I really liked it. But we haven't done any of I know there's like
It's an
courses or installments or stuff like
it's
that.
called the installation. If
Installation, that's
you
it.
guys want to do an
Yeah.
installation, like I bring my team over. We could do a, I don't know how many you need for an installation, but it's basically a 1 day seminar where they walk you through some of the principles in the book.
That's
Um,
cool.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. Let me see what else I have on my Audible. I love Audible because I get to listen
Yeah.
steady. Do you guys have one that you want to share?
Book. Let me pull up my Audible.
Neither of us are prepared for the question.
No.
I'm going to show you the book. That is my recommendation. Hold on one second.
Um, okay, I'd say the one I'm reading now, which is pretty good, or listening to, I take that back. The Four Disciplines of Execution. I don't know if you've
Okay. I don't
read or
know.
listened to that, or the 12-week year, but that doesn't really have anything to do with giving back, but it's
Yeah.
good.
This is the book everybody needs to read.
Oh, very
The
nice.
Cure for Stupidity. This man, Eric Bailey, is a genius, and it is speaking about using the actual science of the brain and psychology to explain the really stupid things we do in the workplace and with our colleagues. And it's speaking about things like it's very focused on diversity and inclusion and unconscious bias and why we do what we do and don't realize what we're doing that is either hurtful, offensive, or just generally stupid in the workplace. I think it's a great read that everybody can connect with in a way that again won't make you feel guilty or bad about yourself. You'll just learn a couple things.
Yeah. All right, I got that on my list. I've got Becoming Supernatural, Joe
Ooh,
Dispenza.
ooh, I want to become supernatural.
I know it's pretty crazy. It's an interesting kind of book about, you could say, spirituality, mind, body, soul, and how the human body's, way more capable than any of us touch. Like, our perception of how capable we are is like not even a percentage of what we can actually do. Yeah, I really enjoyed Can't Hurt Me, David Goggins as
Oh yeah,
well.
that's a good one. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah. The Audible version of that was really good.
yeah, really wild.
But
Yeah.
yeah.
Talk about
Cool.
a story. So yeah, always great to chat with you guys. This is
Yeah. Thanks
fun.
for coming. We always love chatting with you as well. And if you do want to reach out with Ralph, how do people get in touch with you?
Depends. I guess if you're looking for us online, I mean, my professional handle is at Ralph Ciancio Homes. So you can just find us on social there if you want to send a DM or follow, or if you're looking to connect personally. I know it's crazy to put your phone number on the internet, but I'm all about giving. Do you guys put your phone numbers out? I imagine you do. For sure you do.
555.
Yeah. 1-800
1-800.
Steinfeld. So you
I
can
wonder
send
where that goes.
you can send a text to 416-839-9253. And yeah, if you found some inspiration or new thoughts that came out of listening to this, I mean, that means we've done a good job. That means that the
Exactly.
purpose was achieved. And
Yeah.
I'll tell you one last kind of motivational or thought as we wrap up is I was in Italy and I saw this beautiful advertisement. It was a Bristol like outdoor marketing, and it was a piano with like just you could see the hands, and there were
Mm,
like the 8 or 10 hands on this big piano, and it said, in Italian, it said, "Together we can achieve more."
mm,
We play better together. And that's why, the impact of collaborating with people like you and syndicating a message through the show, the Level Up show, it's awesome because we don't know what impact we've made, right? Hopefully, and if we, inspired someone who inspires someone who inspires someone, then, we can go to sleep tonight.
Exactly.
So what you're saying is our work is done now. I'm gonna take a nap.
Going to the bar.
Now it's leverage. We're helping hundreds of people right now.
The torch has been passed. Thank you, everybody.
Listen, you guys do great work in everything. I know you do a lot of work, obviously, for our real estate industry. I know you're driven to improve our industry, to level up our industry, and I applaud you, and I thank you for that. You're making the lives of realtors, our industry, for our clients, but for us as a profession, a little bit better every day, and we thank you.
Oh, well, thanks, Ralph. We feel the same about you. You're very inspiring. Thank you so much.
Level up, level up.